Hi, my name is Eline, and with this podcast I dive deep into the world of chronic illness. What is living with a chronic illness like? What are ways to redefine your purpose when life hit you so hard? How do people do this? I am on the lookout for answers to find out if there is a way to have a life filled with freedom, joy and happiness, even when it feels like you're a prisoner in your own body. Welcome. Welcome back to the third and final part of this story. Welcome back to my co-host, Marcus, my husband.
Hello.
Hello. What a crazy part 2 that actually was, wasn't it?
Yeah. A lot that we went through. Lots of obstacles, lots of changes, and now even more.
Yeah. I think the biggest change is actually happening now.
Yeah, I think so too.
This part of the story.
Yeah.
Should we go straight into it?
Go ahead. Let's get started.
Amazing. So we left off at the retreat.
Yeah.
So it was after the second accident.
Mm-hmm.
I decided on my 30th birthday that suddenly I moved away from fighting for my old life to be back and wanting to give myself space to process what actually happened in the years before, right?
Yeah.
One of the ways I was going to do that was going on a retreat myself.
Yeah.
That was an amazing 2 days, one-on-one retreat, completely transformative. Even the way to there, going on a plane by myself.
I remember dropping you off at the airport and having to leave you with the assistance team. It was the first time that we had been away from each other for longer than 24 hours. I think since you moved back to the Netherlands after the first accident.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It was been a long time since we'd been
3.5 years.
Yeah, it'd been a long time since we'd been apart from each other for 48 hours.
Yeah. How was that for you?
Super scary. I also didn't know what was going to happen on your retreat, and you didn't either, really. We didn't have like a agenda, and it's something that we had spoken about with our psychologist, because you had a psychologist, and then we had a joint sessions as well to kind of help us with some of that. And I think she said to us at one point that I also just need to give in a little bit, like let go, try and not control everything, because over those years I had been controlling in a positive way, like what we were doing, because it was, I was in charge of breakfast, lunch, dinner, dressing you, showering you, all of those things. And now I had to give that up and just be like, okay, this is your path, go ahead with it. I'm cheering you on, but scary to, I didn't know where you were staying. You told me it was some casita, which I didn't even know what that was, this small house. And I was wondering, who's going to shower you? Who's going to cook for you? Is it a flat surface? Will you be able to walk with your crutches? Or no, you're only using crutches.
No, wheelchair mainly.
Wheelchair mainly. How would it work with the wheelchair? And you're like, don't know. That's also why we're doing it. I was like, okay, I just need to give it. Scary. It helped me as well by letting that go.
Yeah. It's like letting go of a kid.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is. This first 4 years of this process was very much a carer, and what's the word I'm looking for? Carer, patient relationship. Sorry, I keep on stopping because I've got the hiccups that seems to be coming through. So that was something we were having to shift and change from. And this was one of the first things to start with that.
Yeah, so this 2 days retreat, I remember arriving here on the island of Ibiza. I found a coach through my twin sister. Her name is Natalie. And the moment I arrived here was very freeing already. I was extremely proud of myself, my own body, for having managed a flight by myself and being back in my beloved Spain.
Yeah.
Being outside in the sun.
Yeah. Nature,
yeah. For the people who don't know, after high school, I moved to Spain for a couple of years by myself, and ever since fell in love with the country and always feel like this is my home. Obviously, it is our home now. Yeah. By that time, it wasn't. And
100% not. It was not on our radar at all to be where we are today.
No. And then the coaching started, the retreat started, and we dove into like somatic work,
what is somatic work?
Yeah, somatic work is something I find so extremely difficult to explain because it actually gets you out of your head and out of the stories, aka out of not necessarily having to give words to it, into your body. So you work with your nervous system, you work with energy, and you help people, and in this case, Natalie helped me to land into my body and actually figure out what lives there. What emotions, what feelings, what pain, how do you describe that pain, what discomfort, in order for you to connect to your body again and live less out of your head and your mind.
Is there a way to describe this even simpler? When you were explaining this to me the first time when you were coming here, for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm not necessarily the most spiritual person in the world. For me, even a few years ago, a psychologist was, voodoo. I didn't quite understand why you would go see a psychologist. Now that has all changed in my perspective. But in the simplest way for you, what was a morning or an afternoon like when you think about a somatic session with Natalie and what you're going through with pain? Is there a simple example to give?
If I were to summarize it in one sentence, I would say it's learning how to feel and connect to your body again. For example, a question that Natalie asked me that made the biggest of an impact during these sessions was, what if your leg was your best friend? What would she say about how you've treated her over the past few years? And that was a question that was so extremely hard for me to imagine, because what do you mean my leg is my best friend? My leg is my enemy. Like, I do not want to be connected to my leg because it's only giving me pain or it's only giving me spasms. And I just don't want to imagine my leg being my best friend. However, it is a very important question. And I realized that after, because she said, again, she repeated the question, what if your leg were your best friend? What would she say about how you have treated her over the past years? And that shifted complete responsibility onto me. And I realized I have not been treating my own leg in a very good way. I've been mean to her. I've been angry at her. I've been sad.
Wanting to chop her off.
Like all of those things. Then through that work, and that work, you can do somatic work in so many different ways. There's so many Instagram people out there doing somatic work, and everyone is doing it in their own way. There's, small exercises that you can do.
Angry sessions, like where you hit things.
Exactly. That's also part of it. You can do somatic sessions by means of moving your body, almost like an aesthetic dance kind of vibe. The way I do it and the way Natalie did it with me was through touch. So I laid down flat, and through coaching questions, through meditation, through visualization, through touch, your brain gets directed into a different frequency. Like you're almost in a bit of a trance. Meaning you can really connect to your body. And I realized that all my leg wanted was to be seen and to be loved. Because in the end, I very strongly believe that all of us human beings, and hence our bodies as well, only want love and compassion. And we're very often not given that. We're pushing through boundaries. We're scooching away like our feelings and emotions because we don't have the time to feel it. We don't have the time to do X, Y, Z. We do have the time. We don't take the time for it. So this retreat in the somatic work for me opened a complete different world into my own emotional world that I was cut off from for such a long time, even though I've had psychologist sessions for years. The thing I found out about myself is that I'm really good at talking about my emotions. I'm really good at expressing them and explaining them. I'm not that good in feeling them and allow myself to truly feel it.
Which I think a lot of people struggle with. Most people probably struggle with the feeling aspect and putting words to it. Okay, that gives me a good idea. Better understanding of what this means.
And in the end, I figured that the first day was very much about learning to accept the situation as is, meaning also feeling the grief, feeling the anger, feeling the fact that it was really unfair that this is happening to me. And that is a big question that I always steered away from. I never asked myself, why me? Why is this happening to me? Etc., because I always felt that that is a question that first of all, you never get an answer to. And secondly, there's nothing I get out of that. There is nothing that I get out of asking that question to myself. But what it does by not asking myself that question was that I was also not allowing myself to feel that it is unfair. And is it okay to feel that? So that was very much the focus on the first day, the grief, and figuring out, reconnecting and learning my own emotional world. The second day was very much about joy and about the future and about shifting my focus into what is still possible.
Yeah.
And that my body is so much more than only my leg.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think this retreat really did for me. It made me zoom out away from my leg and zoom out into my whole body. I really did realize and learn that yes, my leg is there. The spasms are there. And at the same time, there's also a whole other part of my body, mind and spirit, that's also there. What if I focus on that? What if I start focusing on that, training the rest of my body again on all levels? So like emotional body, spiritual, mental and physical levels. What would happen then? And that was really the perspective that was given to me on the second day. It opened, it was only 2 days.
Yeah.
Your world doesn't completely change 180 degrees in 2 days.
I think you did.
It was a catalyst?
The catalyst?
The catalyst?
Yeah, the catalyst,
of our lives changing 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Do you remember how I came back from that retreat? You weren't there physically, but obviously you weren't in Holland at that point, but we had conversations.
No.
No?
I think you were a bit sheepish, weren't you? I think you were a bit scared to tell me something. Were you like, because at this point things were going to change? I think you may be a little bit reserved about telling me too much.
Yeah, I wasn't really wanting to tell you on the phone.
No. Where was I?
I don't know where you were.
I don't know either. I was away. Yeah.
You were away, but I came home and basically it felt like all my emotions were on the surface of everything. So I cried so much for the days after still. So what this retreat also really did was it gave me the sense that I finally found what had been missing in my rehabilitation program throughout those years. I always had a subconscious feeling that there was a piece of the puzzle that was missing.
Yeah.
And this retreat, I felt like I found that missing piece. And for me now in hindsight, that was really that, again, as a psychologist, I talked a lot about the trauma. So we did exercises, but I could not really truly connect to my feelings.
Yeah.
And with this work, I felt like I was clearing out the trauma that was stored in my body. So physically, it was physical work. It's the hardest work I've done over all of these years of training by far, because you can't shy away from it. You can't hide. You can't, because if you do that, you don't get anywhere. It's only causing frustration.
Yeah.
So after those 2 days, and finally having found this piece of the puzzle that I was missing, and that was such a gut feeling. I can't really explain what that was, other than it was a super intuitive instinct that I had that this was the way forward. And I came back home and told you, we need to go back.
Yeah, you were pretty insistent, which was good. You hadn't been that insistent about something or been that passionate or felt that strongly about something for a long time. And you were like, I need to go back. And it needs to happen soon. Yeah.
So the retreat was in May.
Yeah.
We basically moved here for 2 months, the months of September and October.
Yeah. I asked my work if I could take, at that point I was able to do a month away. There was remote working, and I asked for an extra month and they were happy to grant it. So we came here for September and October. We stayed in a house not far from where we are now, actually, and stayed in the casita for another month as well. Also because I'd only ever been here for when we got engaged, apart from when I was 20 years old, and that's different podcast. And stayed here for 2 months. But I remember you saying to me, hey, I want to go to Ibiza. I want to go back to the island for like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, yeah, we can go. You remember this, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, 2 weeks. That sounds good. And then like a few days later, we'd be discussing and you'd say to me, yeah, I want to go for like 2 to 4 weeks. And I was like, okay, then 2 to 4 weeks. That's a little bit longer. You know, that's a whole month away in Ibiza. As people know, like, Ibiza is not necessarily the cheapest of places to go, especially for September or October. Then we had another conversation a little bit after that, and then you were like, "Hey, we're going to go for 4 to 6 weeks." No, you were telling friends and family we're going to go for 4 to 6 weeks, and I was like, suddenly we've got another 2 weeks added onto it, and then you basically persuaded me that we should go for 2 months.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, that was the start of the Eline persuading training.
The thing is,
no, there's no thing is.
In my head, it was never going to be 2 weeks, but I know you and I need to like marinate it a little bit in your head.
Manipulate me. That's
no, not manipulate.
Yeah, no, and it was the best thing though. Also, I needed time away, so I thought this is a great opportunity for me to get a couple of months in the sun and relax. And I remember I really took off, I think 3 weeks of actual holiday. So it was amazing. Yeah, we were here for 2 months. And what did we do in those 2 months?
A lot of healing work, a lot of introspection, a lot of time for ourselves together. But I thought, we're here on this island for 2 months. I am going to grab every single opportunity there is to dive into the world of alternative sessions.
Yeah.
I even took you on a date day.
Oh my God, what a date day that was.
You want to tell about this date day?
So Eline and I, ever since we met, have been organizing a monthly date night where we take it in turns each month to organize a surprise date. So 1 month it's me, the next month it's Eline, and we don't tell each other what we're going to be doing until the morning of or just before, and we'll give hints as to what each other should wear or what type of footwear there should be. And Eline said, I just needed some trainers and like just kind of like sportswear to put on. And it was during the day, and I was like, okay, I wonder what we're going to do. And we get to this farm, in essence, and suddenly see some horses. And I'm wondering, what on earth are we doing with horses? And we did a horse coaching session where I had to stand next to a horse and walk around the paddock and see how the horses interacted with me and what I was thinking at that moment, and then what I was thinking or talking about, how would the horse react, because apparently horses are very intuitive of humans. It was possibly the most bizarre thing I've ever done in my life, but that was definitely one of those new things that you were looking to try and do and see. And for me, as always, I'll try and, after a bit of persuasion, normally I'll go and do some of these things, but this one I didn't have a choice because it was a date night. It's safe to say we're not doing it again, but I was open to it at that point.
Yeah. Little anecdote there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the examples of things that we have tried.
Horse coaching, oh my day.
Don't mock the horse coaching. It's very good.
I didn't really get anything out of that session.
No, that's yeah. And that's also one of the reasons that I wanted to try everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Because there are so many different things that the alternative healing world, I don't even want to call it alternative anymore, like Eastern world, holistic world.
Holistic.
It's just so different to what you experience usually in either Holland or in the UK or in any other country. Yeah. And Ibiza is the place to be for sessions that you otherwise would never be able to try out.
And what other sessions does that look like? Because one of them would be, you did a breathwork session, you've done like a cacao ceremony, you've done
movement
session,
a lot of somatic work, obviously.
You did the dance, but I always felt like whenever you went to that, you would then come back and feel really like you'd been able to move your body in a way that you weren't able to do before.
Yeah. Well, obviously I danced, and I used to dance when I was a kid, and I loved it, and danced for many, many, many years. And then afterwards, for many years, I wasn't able to do that anymore. And there was a very big blockage for me around dancing, because it reminded me of everything that my body could not do. My body felt so different to how it used to feel when I was dancing. It felt so stiff. I was in so much pain. How do you move your body if you can't really move one leg? So there was a big blockage for me around dancing, and I slowly worked through that. But those things, exactly like those type of things, I tried out, and I did. What else did I do?
Well, you just did more sessions.
Work.
You started doing Pilates here?
Yep. I started doing more Pilates here. Yeah, so all of those things. And also one of the big things that I really don't underestimate the power of is being outside and being in nature.
Yeah, and the sun as well, having, because that also makes a difference for you with your pain, that, being in a warmer climate, leg would not be as painful because you'd have warmer climate rather than cold. And that made a difference for sure. But then for you as well, for anyone that's listening, the difference from May to the end of October when we left here, what were you able to do differently that you weren't able to do before? We started where you were still in the wheelchair a lot when you first came here for the retreat. What was it like at the end of October when you came for the second time? Was there much of a difference?
I think that difference was mainly internally, where I've started to feel more confident in my own skin again. I started to get out of the fear of movement. I had a lot of fear of moving my body because of the pain. I felt myself crawling out of that very dark hole and going into it more of a, I've not tried it, we'll see how it goes, we'll figure it out kind of mindset. I wanted to practice more again. I wanted to try and see until where I could walk. And I was I started to become a lot kinder to myself, and a lot more listening to my own boundaries and sticking to that, and not being involved by people, or not being manipulated, not being persuaded by people who would say, come on, one less step, or 3 more steps, or you can do this, etc., etc. I was really starting to listen to my own boundaries, my own body.
Boundaries as well.
Setting boundaries, communicating boundaries, and trust that what I was feeling was okay and was correct. After those 2 months, towards the end of October, you were gone for a few days off the island. You were back in the UK, and my mom came here. And it wasn't all amazing those 2 months. There was a part that was also very difficult for me, where I didn't understand my feelings anymore, because I felt very strongly that I needed some time by myself. And I was like, I don't understand that, because I don't want to leave Marcus. I don't, I want to be together with you for the rest of my life. But I also feel that I want to be alone. How does that work? Why is that? Why am I feeling like this? A lot of fear. And then my mom came for a few days, and she asked, how are you? And I basically started crying and telling her this. And she looked at me and she said, but Eline, that is amazing that you're feeling that way. That is so healthy. You and Mark have been together for 5 years, non-stop. You've not been away for each other more than 48 hours in a row. It's very healthy to want some own space. That doesn't mean that you need to leave him immediately. Point of realization, or like that perspective, was something I so needed at that moment. Because I realized it is okay to ask you as well for some time alone. I need some time by myself. That doesn't mean I don't love you and that I don't want to be with you.
No.
So that was actually the moment I decided to come back alone.
January.
Yeah. Do you remember how that conversation went?
I remember you were petrified to tell me, or to ask me. Not even to ask me, to tell me, actually. I remember I can't remember where you took me. You took me somewhere. I think we were having a drink somewhere, butter me up with a beer before telling me something. But no, I remember you were really worried about telling me and were wondering what I was going to say. And do you remember what my reaction was?
Yeah. Sure. 2 weeks is fine.
Yeah. I assumed it was 2 weeks. I assumed, you're going to do a 2-week holiday. And then you were telling me, no.
No, I was like, maybe a little bit longer. You're like, oh, you mean 3 weeks? Then I was like, maybe a little bit longer than that. You were like, what? How long for?
Yeah.
And then I said, 2 to 3 months.
Yeah. So it ended being from middle of January, and then you had whole of February, March, and part of April, because I came at the end of March to celebrate my birthday, and then we left together, I think, beginning of April.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had basically 2 months to yourself, and then that was, you and me basically apart for 2 months.
2 months. I think those 2 months were so needed for both of us.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't remember what I did. Just going to the gym and, I don't remember doing a lot whilst during those months, apart from missing you. That was it. Whereas for you, you went on a more
bigger journey.
Yeah.
A big internal journey.
Yeah.
It was winter season here as well on the island. And obviously, I think winter season for everyone is about cocooning and going inwards. And on this island as well, because everything slows down, not much is open. And I basically took those months as a complete inward journey. I really isolated myself. I have obviously the people around me here that I met, 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
But this was a massive journey inwards. Reason why I wanted to do this was because I desperately wanted to learn how to be independent again.
Yeah.
Not from a point of, I want to do everything by myself. No, it was actually the opposite. I needed to figure out for myself when I need to ask for help and how I am going to ask for help in those moments. So I think independence is something that people see like, oh, I can do everything by myself. I don't need anyone in my life. You know, that.
Yeah.
I see independence as being able to make choices when you're also accepting help when you need it. And I needed time and space to figure that out. I needed time and space to have this task like doing groceries by myself and and knowing that someone is not waiting for me at home.
Yeah.
And I have all the time in the world, even if it's taking me the whole day to go and do that one task.
Yeah.
You know, arriving at the grocery shop, wondering how I would get the wheelchair out of the car, rolling myself in. How does that work in a wheelchair with grocery bags? How does it work with the payments of everything? How do I then get the groceries back into the car? All those things, I needed time and space for that. And obviously also to continue the somatic work, continue all the other stuff that I was doing here, like Reiki and energetic work. And I needed time for that, and I needed space.
And I remember during this time, you video called me, and you suddenly were walking from, so where the casita is, there's another outdoor.
So the casita is a small house here on the island.
Yeah, it's like a studio apartment. And then outside of that studio apartment, you had to walk to a garage or where the kit with the fridge was, because it wasn't inside the studio. And you were doing that at one point with like hobbling, in essence. It would take you a while. And then you did a video call with me, and suddenly you were able to make a few steps. And I started crying on the video because I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, how have you gone from a year ago being in a wheelchair for everything to now you're walking to the fridge, hobbling to the fridge? But no, it was like it felt like a proper walk. And it was just like, wow, if this is the change that is happening, and it's happening at this pace, which we hadn't seen anything like that for years, I was like, what more do we need to do? Yeah. And that's what kind of led us to, us having another conversation in April, where you were saying, I think we need to move, and we need to get out of Amsterdam, which I think we've discussed it, is possibly the least accessible city in the world.
Yeah, we haven't discussed it yet, but
it is. It's with a wheelchair, it's really, really difficult. I think me also being here for those months before, and we'd gone to a town in Ibiza called Santa Eulalia, which was very accessible, which I really noticed. And you were like, I think we need to move, because I really see my progress happening quicker there, and it's better for me. And at that point, also for myself, I was noticing that wanted to move away from Amsterdam. I'd already said to you when we first started dating, I want to live in Spain when I'm older. So it felt like it was going to be the right moment, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I knew, I was like, I don't want to go back to Holland anymore. I don't
No.
want to go back to the rain.
No.
I don't want to go back to city life. I don't feel like those impulses and the pressure I feel there is healthy for my body. Because I think it's not only weather.
Weather.
Weather. It's not only weather, it's also the fact that I was outside so much more. There was in nature a lot more. Always felt very at home in Spain.
And it was also, any appointment that you had was taking us an hour and a half to get to in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Because you would need to drive 30 minutes to Pilates, then try and find a parking space. Then you'd have the thing, then half an hour back. Sometimes the roads were closed. Here, it was 5-minute drive, or there was so much accessibility that you were able to do all of these things so much easier where I wasn't needed. And that was also a massive difference. I would have to go with you to almost every one of your sessions or classes in Amsterdam in case there wasn't somewhere for you to park, and I would use the wheelchair to then walk you or do something. But here, I was needed less, which meant you were getting your independence back again.
Yeah. And that was something I wasn't really willing to give up anymore.
No.
And also for you.
Yeah, I was also really encouraging because I was starting to get a bit more freedom.
You were also getting so much time back.
Yeah. So we then decided to tell your mum at the airport, I think, wasn't it? At the airport when we were in Amsterdam when she picked us up, that we're going to be moving and we're going to sell our property, that we had our apartment in Amsterdam. And I was then going to start speaking to my work and ask if I can move fully remote to Spain and get on a Spain contract and get all of those things that we needed to do.
September we moved.
Yeah, in September we moved of last year.
2024.
We moved in September. I was going through a visa process with work because they needed to do that. And we moved in September and my visa got rejected.
Twice.
Well, that was it. It got rejected the first time. Then it got rejected a second time. And then, we moved here. And it was official really for me being here in January of this year.
So I had a few months still by myself after September.
Exactly. Yeah, you had a few more months to yourself ago.
Because you were not there.
No.
You were back in Holland living with my parents.
Yeah, I was living with the in-laws.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we moved.
Yeah. And it's now been just over a year. During that year, what's happened for you since during that year?
Yet again, still so much improvement. And I fell in love with somatic work.
Yeah.
Basically from day one.
Yeah.
Which meant that I am now a somatic coach.
Yes, you are. And you have.
I've learned and studied and practiced. And this year I have managed to even host my own one-on-one retreats.
Yeah, numerous one-on-one retreats.
Several one-on-one retreats indeed. Doing somatic work, giving other people with similar issues, with different issues, just wanting to, basically the whole spectrum from extreme disabilities to burnout and anxiety problems and everyone in between. A space to come here, be in the container of doing somatic work and one-on-one coaching and see them off after a few days.
Yeah.
Basically transformed.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like magic.
Yeah.
It is magic. I sometimes also can't explain what happened because, again, you work also with energy, you work with the body. So sometimes emotions come up and the person doesn't even know why that emotion came up. That is okay.
Yeah.
It just needs to come up. Apparently, your body needs to get it out of the system. And so I'm a somatic coach. I organize my own retreats.
And online.
I have enough energy to do that. And I have my online community for women with chronic pain and chronic illness to help them see that there's so much more than only their pain or disability.
Yeah.
Without ignoring the fact that it's also really hard.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. We have an amazing group of women already. I open the doors only a few times per year because I really want it to be a safe container.
Yeah.
And the group is so much fun. It's so amazing to be speaking to people who really truly understand what you're going through without you having to explain it in very much depth, because people don't get it. People, even though I know that people really want to get it, unless you experience it and unless you've been in the place where you're in bed, in a dark room for days, weeks, months, because your body is not working with you, you can't fully explain it. Like, you can't fully understand it. And that's the beauty of this community. We all do. And we support each other. And that is, you really feel less alone. You really feel less alone. I have felt so alone in this journey, even though I had the most amazing people around me. And I'm so privileged to have these amazing people around me, to have you, to have my family, to have my friends. As I said before in the other episode, like, I am forever grateful for the help. And at the same time, I have also felt very lonely because it was my body. Why was my body not doing what I want to do, what is considered normal in terms of recovery and healing? Why was my body not being able to do that? And that's a very lonely process. And having a community like this is just amazing.
And you've also become a Pilates instructor.
Yeah.
I mean, if people think about it from where you were when you came to the first retreat with Natalie, you went from I'm in a wheelchair and I'm learning to make my first steps to now you are actually teaching reformer Pilates to other individuals. To the point where sometimes you arrive in class and you'll still have your crutches with you sometimes, and then you'll do this session and then people that just come in and then they see you walk out with crutches and like, what is going on? How are you? But that's part of this amazing journey that you can now be teaching people as well as doing your somatic work and everything else in between.
Yeah, that's just incredible. It's also, sometimes it feels a bit alien to be going into this world now where one day I'm a Pilates teacher and the next day I'm in my wheelchair because the walk that we're doing is too long for me to walk. It is this very and that's for a whole other podcast, but it's this, actually saying this out loud is a very strange way of how do I identify? It's kind of like an identity crisis in a very small way. Like, oh, I'm a Pilates teacher and I'm also still living with the repercussions of CRPS and FND. And I am still also in a wheelchair. Also to the point that we were in Holland 2 weeks ago and my mom said, I forget. I forget. And then suddenly she sees the wheelchair. She's like, oh yeah, wait, of course. Or like her colleagues are asking, how's Eline doing? And that she just says, well, yeah, very good, very happy. What do you mean? Like, with her leg. Well, I forget, those kind of things happen now. And that is beautiful. And also very strange. A very strange situation to be in.
Also now people that you meet for the first time, they might meet you one day where you're in a wheelchair because it's, you need it. And then you might meet that same person the next day and they see that you're walking around with me and, there's no crutches, there's no wheelchair. So you're also starting these relationships with people sometimes where they'll meet you as Eline in a wheelchair or they'll meet you with Eline without. And so when they see you do both, oh, suddenly you're able to walk. Now, what happened last week that I saw you in a wheelchair? And for us also, it's very strange to...
Or vice versa. Where people meet me when I'm walking.
And then say, what happened? Did you have an accident?
Get completely scared or like worried. What happened the next time they see me in a wheelchair?
But now we're on the island. We've been here for a year. We've now just actually moved house as well. So we're now even more in nature because we were in a town before. And you get amazing views, and this is really, I think, helping even that next final part. As those hiccups again. Those next final bits, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I just cannot wait to see what the future holds. For anyone listening who's in that point now where either very desperate, not knowing what to do, what the next step is, or you're at a point of full acceptance of this is it, and let's build my life around this. Just know that if you open your mind, things can really change in a way that you probably never expected. I never expected to be living on a mountain in Ibiza before.
No.
Ever.
No.
I wanted to be in a city.
Yeah.
In Spain, yes, but I wanted to be in a city.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel like wanting to be on an island.
No.
So open your mind to new opportunities and new nudges that you feel that you're being pushed in.
Yeah.
And
occasionally say yes to stuff.
Yeah. And I think there's a whole spiritual awakening that happened as well on this island that helped me a lot. And I think that's something for next episodes. I guess that comes back into open your mind and follow the direction that you're being pushed in, because I truly believe that we were supposed to be here and I was supposed to be a somatic coach, a body worker, working with this spiritual side in me as well and coaching others to help them get through their darkest days.
Well said.
Yeah.
Probably a good place for us to end.
We've said to each other before that these recordings really make us feel like we're doing basically a therapy session.
Yeah.
We have never really gone into detail and into our story as much as we have in these last 3.
No, normally we try and keep it short to about 5-10 minutes because
there's so much.
And also, there's things that really you need to go into detail around, what is somatic work, or what were the injuries, or what is CRPS, or how does this work, or there's so many different parts, but we've really gone into it over these 3 sessions, and it's been, at times, I've been upset and crying and feel like, bringing back some of those memories, but ultimately where we've gone to where we are now has been an amazing journey, and we have many more journeys ahead.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
And you.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
And so for anyone listening, if you have any other questions, please feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email to hello@thespooningscommunity.com. Also, if you want to share your story, I'd be more than interested in hearing it. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being my co-host.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.